in your arms, and these feelings start to change. One look into your eyes, and I'm floating far away. I've never been here before. I don't know the score, but I never want.
Unbelievable how few chronos did anything at all that game. Typically when Faceless Void hits level 6, we start to see a steady pace of pickoffs happening throughout the game, and there was never really a good opportunity.
There was one, but then he got stunned by Alina stun. Bracket straight away.
Yep. Now you got a battle and try and get out of top 12. Move on to the 8.
I think it's just a really important thing to note about tournament mentality. I mean, getting into the top is great. I mean, it's a really important thing to do. You want to do well in your group. You want to be in the winner's bracket. But there's the idea of that specific preparation for the game at hand. And I feel like that really shone through in Game 1. And in particular, just the beautiful coordination in Game 3. I think that only once or twice did it seem like IG was engaging in a fight alone. Every single instance of a Team Liquid player being caught out, there were 2, 3, or even the entire team of IG there to answer.
That's a trademark of their team and some of their some of the teams that play similarly to them, like LGD and LGDFY, that are like always there for the fights. No man left behind.
So what do you think would have been the big play to change the outcome for Team Liquid? What should have been their path to victory in that game?
I mean, as we saw, as Perch showed, it was the Shaker that did basically everything for them during the game. So they needed to shut him down more than they did, like getting that early dagger to get the kill on the Void. So Void doesn't have a good game. It really does a lot.
Something happened in the safe lane for Liquid, which I wasn't sure about. I don't think the camera caught it, but they had like a triple Archer wave very, very early on, and Shaker was level 4 even before Miracle was. So he just something happened, like maybe Kuro pulled and did a single pull where they got like a double wave, and I
think it was the thing that Perch showed that he was like blocking the wave, so he couldn't.
My bad.
Go to the hard hard camp, but yeah.
That was when he was level 2 though. He got level 2.
Yeah, that was early.
Easily. I'm not exactly sure what happened.
It was more times maybe.
Yeah, Fogged and I were talking about there, like, how is Shaker having such an amazing start when he was just left totally alone?
And he was dealing so much damage early game. Every time he got a kill, I was sort of taken aback because he killed so fast that the camera would pan to a corpse of a Team Liquid player.
GH was coming in from behind, and then he echo slammed and killed him straight away. It was
that was a demoralizing death for sure.
That hurt a little bit.
He's like, Miracle, Miracle, I'm coming to gank, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, that didn't work.
I wonder if you can talk to me a little bit about Lone Druid, because it's not a character that is very common in the games that I've personally played. I'm unsure even how to evaluate him as a player in mid, whether things went right or wrong for him.
He never loses mid.
Yeah, he's pretty good in the 1v1. Yeah. But some of them had a pretty good game overall. It's just there wasn't any follow-up from his teammates.
The thing that he just has to do is to get his Radiance, and then they take team fights with the Radiance and try to move on from that. But it just felt that they were behind from the Shaker again early on, and they didn't get any Chronos off, and the Void died, and everything just went wrong for them except the Lone Druid. I think he had quite a good game, to be honest.
It was a weird synergy, though, like Slaughter with no physical damage. They had a bunch of melee heroes with a Faceless Void, so they couldn't actually execute their lineup, even if it were to be a perfect team fight.
Well, at this point in time, we now know the very first player advancing to the winners' semi-finals. And we'll have EG versus Newbee. They are currently now getting set up in the booths. And I wanted to ask, we've been talking a lot about how Team Liquid was one of the all-star teams that we sort of expected to be maybe even a winner of this event, and now they're in lower brackets. And there's been a number of teams that have also been showcasing and performing far higher than we expected. Who, in your eyes, are some of the big dark horse teams at this event?
I think if you look at all of the teams, they're super good. You look at the teams that are in the lower bracket, and you can feel some of them should be in the upper bracket. But then you look at the teams in the upper bracket, and it's like there's no team here that shouldn't be here. So I don't really know if there's any dark horses for me.
That was the biggest upset of the day for me, I think. All the other ones make a little more sense. Either team really winning. I thought Liquid was one of the best teams here.
For sure.
It's really remarkable to see the skill level of all the teams at this tournament and competition. And of course, dark horses do have a long history in the international. As we've seen, no matter how well you do in group stages, it can always turn out that you get sent to lowers in round one. Let's take a look at some of the history of the unexpected teams at TI.
The concept of dark horse in Dota has always been a big thing, and I think there's a lot behind it, a lot more than what people think.
It's some team coming out of nowhere. People don't expect them to be there.
Someone that will upset the whole tournament and that will make everyone go like, wow, these guys did something spectacular.
For the team that's going as a dark horse, it's an advantage, for sure.
The thing is, nobody's looking at you, even though you're the one that has a really good idea how to beat this tournament.
They just enjoy game after game, whereas other teams, they're like thinking about all the pressure or all what's at stake.
就是如果被大家都看好的情况下，其实压力是挺大的。如果有一场表现不好，或者说最后的成绩不好，就是整个心态不一样嘛，会比较容易崩溃吧，我觉得。
Maybe OG felt the pressure. That's why we lost against TNC.
We had played TNC before, many times, and there was no doubt in our mind and in their minds also that we were the better team. But they have this fire going for them. It's scary. It's really scary to play these teams because they have nothing to lose.
You underestimate a team, you don't play your best just because you feel it's going to be, quote unquote, a free win. But that free win is a free loss. That's what happens.
我觉得黑马队的性质就是对当前版本有自己的一套独特的打法。
I think DC's what they were doing the most at TI was really focusing on split pushing.
I could count 5 teams or even 10 teams that would be ahead of DC, but they go to the grand finals.
Misery, congratulations. How does it feel to take down the TI5 champs?
Holy shit, dude. That was a crazy-ass game.
I always learn a lot watching these dark horses. Usually people just go to them and like, how did you make that happen?
How were you able to do that up against them?
And they always answer like, we don't know, and then they say something, but they actually know.
So, yeah, I don't know.
And what they say right after the we don't know is usually the key to the success they just had.
We kind of pulled some tricks in the draft that made them believe that a core hero was a core, when in fact it was a support all along.
DC went on like one of those crazy OG loser bracket win streaks. Once a team gets in the booth and they get used to the feeling of winning, it's kind of hard to stop them.
These kind of teams. They have a flow going on. It's something very unique, and they just roll throughout the tournament.
像 CDC 这支队伍的话，我觉得它是历届所有就是 TI 系列赛中，我觉得是最大的一匹黑马，因为他们是从外卡赛杀进来的一支亚军队伍，并且这支队伍的5个人全是第一次打 TI。
They struggled in the wildcards. They did. They almost didn't make it.
We did play them even 1 month before TI, and we just beat the crap out of them. And then 1 month later, they go to the international and they beat the crap out of everyone else.
Winter's curse from Q demolishes 2 more. I don't know how, but they must CDEC again and again with the upsets.
It just caught every team off guard. And I think that's just like a perfect definition of what a dark horse is.
I think every year there's been an underdog that has impressed me.
One of the really hard-working teams for the open qualifiers just seems to surprise everyone. So I don't know what team that'll be.
Dark horses just play a different kind of Dota too. They teach you a lesson. They teach you 2 lessons. It's very inspiring.
It's like a Cinderella story. And when you get those teams starting to beat ours, we showed everyone in the world that everyone can do it.
And as you heard us say before, all 16 teams still here at the tournament are all amazing in their own right. So it's entirely possible we could see another dark horse story here at TI7. And of course, the first upset of the day, IG defeating Team Liquid. We have Casey with our winners from IG. Let's go ahead and say hi to Casey and Q.
Hello. Yes, as you mentioned, we're with Q, and we have Jack helping us with the translation. We've been talking about coming into this main stage event. Liquid placed first in their group for group stage. You came in 4th in your group for group stage. They picked you to go up against. You came out with a decisive game 1 and then just took the series. What was your approach?
就是谈起这次主舞台的比赛，上半场当然是液体在小组赛是拿第1名，然后他们最终是选择与你们当对手，然后你们第1场之后第2场失利了，然后最后是把他们给打败了所以想问一下你们进入这场比赛的策略和总体的战术和计划是什么？
计划就是看他们之前打过的一些比赛。 然后分析一下他们所用的英雄和阵容，然后结合自己队伍的那种战术和那种使用的英雄，然后具体的去制定一些策略什么的。然后太细的也不太好说，因为之后还是有比赛的嘛。
Our plan was obviously to take a look at the strategies and plans that they'd used before, and then based on that, we devise our own heroes and lineups. And obviously, I can't share too many details with you because we still have matches to play going forward. But yeah, basically, we studied them very thoroughly, and we crafted our own plan and used that to take this one.
Fair enough. So decisive games for games 1 and 3. What happened in game 2, and what did you say to your team when you went backstage before entering in game 3 to change things around?
那么当然，第1场和第3场你们是发挥特别亮眼，也获胜了。第2场比赛你们算是失利了。那么第2场比赛之后，第3场之前，你是如何鼓舞你的队伍，或者跟他们说，队员要做一些什么样的调整？
就是其实就打第1场之前都说了，就是一个胜组的比赛，就算输了的话。 就还有败者组嘛，就是意思有2条命，大家都放松的打，就是每一盘过后都是新的一盘，我们都是这样说的，无论是第1盘赢了或者第2盘输了，所以我们心态都就是很放松。
I reminded them before the first match that no matter what happens, this is the upper bracket, so we have 2 lives. Just relax and play loose. Don't put the pressure on yourself. No matter what happens, whether win or lose, first or second game, we have more opportunities. So just stay relaxed no matter what, and we managed to keep that going forward.
Next up, you're going to be facing either EG or Newbee. You were captain of CDC back in TI5 when you faced EG in the grand finals. I want to know what your thoughts are about the chance to face EG once again, and I don't know if it's a little bit of revenge or how you might be approaching that.
那么当然，下一轮对手有可能是 EG， 有可能是 Newbee。要是 EG 的话，当然是你当年 TI5 的队长做队长时 CDC 总决赛的对手。那么要是下一场要是面对 EG 的话，你们会觉得是有一个报仇的机会吗？
从队伍上面来看，就是每个对手都是一样的嘛。但是从我个人来看的话，我就是觉得会有这么一点心态在里面吧。毕竟。 就是这是一个竞技游戏嘛，所以我的那种竞技的心也是挺重的。
As far as teams go, you've got to treat all your opponents the same. But personally, yeah, there is a bit of that element here. Obviously, from my own personal perspective, there is a bit of that element. You want to compete and you want to use that as kind of motivation and stoke the fires a little bit.
Awesome. Jack, thank you very much. Q, thanks for taking some time with us. Congratulations, and we look forward to seeing you play again this week. Thanks so much. Sean, back to you.
Thank you, Casey, and of course, thank you, Q. What an incredible first game, and of course, our second match is about to begin. It will be Newbee versus EG, and already ready to march out are the men who won TI5. It's Evil Geniuses. Zai is adorable, Merlini, but who's going to be the key players to look for in Evil Genius's lineup?
Sumail, maybe. I was admiring his name change. I think he was like complaining about it for a long time. It's like, it's Sumail without the one valve, and he was complaining about that for a while.
Of course, their big star player, Sumail, and going up against Evil Geniuses will be also former TI champions, Newbee. Now, Newbee was famous for their unbelievably swift win when they were able to pull off the victory in the early TI days. And I want to ask, what is Newbee's style like now?
I think they're one of the most different of the Chinese teams. I think they actually play a little bit more of a Western style with a heavy focus on their mid player, SCC. They really build around him and enable him to have the best game he can have.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when I was first getting into Dota, you know, there's names like Sumail and Miracle, and SCCC are these mid laners who are just absolutely dominant, who seem to get this insane amount of gold advantage early on. And I'm curious, how do you wind up building around that kind of player?
Well, I think you actually have a player that can take him one-on-one. I think it was very evident in TI5. There was no one in the mid lane from the Chinese team that could stand with them. Shiki got destroyed every single matchup, and the only one that was there was Maybe. And now you actually have a second player, SCCC, who solo kills them a few times, which is pretty much unheard of in that matchup, at least in the most recent memory.
Anaka, who are the big players that you're looking for on the Newbee lineup to make big plays in this matchup?
For me, I think Kaka is a very good player, and he's also one that I studied a lot when I wanted to play Phoenix. He was very famous for his Phoenix when it was out. So I really hope that they're going to bring out the Phoenix, even though I don't think they're going to do it. But
I'm curious if you can bring a little insight into when you're studying a player and trying to research and pick up moves. What are some of the things you identified as part of his gameplay?
Well, first of all, you want to find a player that's playing a hero when they're like winning the games a lot. So you know that he's a good player, right?
That is a good quality. Yes. To have in a hero selection. You don't want to choose the guy who's 0-15 with Phoenix.
It's like, yeah, he's pretty good, right? No, but then it's this like skill builds, what is going, and then to understand when he's doing that skill build and why. Because otherwise you can just see, oh, he's doing this and he's doing that. Maybe it's so it's a lot of like thought behind that, because like Phoenix can be built in a lot of ways. You can max all of the, well, maybe not the first skill, but it was like, you can maybe choose to put 2 skills into it, and then you can put 1 into it, and you can focus on the Sunray and on the Fire Spirit. Yeah. So,
well, I feel like in terms of edges, there's a number of different ways to evaluate where a team is managing to find them. There's the idea of making really huge plays. There's the idea of having small efficiencies in terms of itemization and builds. Where do you feel like the edges are for each team?
Wow, I'm not quite sure. Maybe someone will help me out with that question.
It's all you. No one helping. You're on your own now, Peter.
I just didn't understand what your question was. Can you rephrase it a little better for me?
What I mean is that, like, where are each of these teams going to be able to find their biggest strengths? Is it going to be in terms of just big playmaking? Is it this sort of like, you know, clever itemization and building that Ake's been referring to?
I don't know. EG's been playing like a pretty fluid drafting style where they oftentimes slot support heroes and they turn them into cores, or they turn the cores into supports at the end. So I think if Newbee has a good grasp of how EG is drafting, they might be able to keep up in terms of strategy. Yeah. I know Newbee has been doing, they're like one of the teams that I compare to EG, so they've been doing similar things as well. So it'll be an interesting clash between how they set up their lanes.
What EG has been doing that I haven't seen so many other teams do is that they go for heavy push lineups. They have their Prophet on the off lane, they have the Visage carry, and they had Like in some of the games as well, like a lot of summons and just push the towers early. And it's something that have been working for them as well, but not other teams use it so much.
It's been really remarkable to see how fast they are at killing, especially tier 1 towers, where there will be a little bit of rotation from the enemy team, and suddenly, boom, there's 4 EG heroes all right there, all in perfect coordination, take the tower down. It feels like teams don't even have the opportunity to react.
I do feel like EG has how they want to play figured out, which I think is really, really important before you come to a major tournament like this, especially being in the winner's bracket. You just kind of want to stick with what got you there, and I think they're in a great position to do that.
Now, EG in the group stages did get 3rd at 11-5. But Newbee got second with the same record of 11-5. The only person able to best Newbee in Group B was the outstanding LFY with their 14-2 record. And I'm wondering if there's any standout moments from you in that group stage phase for Newbee.
For Newbee?
Yeah.
Let's see, I'm trying to remember back maybe a game that I saw of theirs.
I can't think of any specifically. Then it's more, yeah, EG that's stood out for me with the Visage carry.
Yeah. I mean, EG is definitely, I don't want to keep coming back to EG, but gosh, their drafting was so interesting to watch in every single game. I mean, the fact that Earthshaker mid for Sumail was such a common pickup, and regularly after 3 or 4 picks, it seemed like I had no idea who was going to be who. Mirana could be Universe, Mirana could be Sumail. We saw Enchantress run on Zai, we saw Enchantress run on Universe.
The Batrider is also very often picked up by EG, like fast, maybe even first pick, and they actually put it on crit some of the times, which is also something we haven't seen many other teams do, to have it on support.
They have support Naga, they've had mid Pugna.
They'd like to pick 2 heroes like first that can be like both core and support, and that's very important, I think, for a team to be successful.
And do you think this is true for just specifically EG, or do you think this is sort of true across the entire pattern that we're seeing at TI?
I think more and more teams are doing it, but I think EG did it the most, I would say, in the first.
I think they had it figured out before they came here, and then a lot of other teams are learning and adapting to what EG is doing.
Do you feel like that's risky? I mean, Aki, you've been at a number of TIs. In terms of what you're preparing for going into the tournament versus what you're seeing evolve and bake out of the meta there, how do you weigh which one against each other? Because you don't want to give up what you've already planned for.
Usually you like really don't want to copy other teams because they probably know it better than you do. So the best plan would probably be to keep on doing what you've been doing, but maybe adjust it a bit according to what the other.
I think the best thing you can do is really analyze an opposing team and learn why they do what they do, and then you know, say like, oh, EG's doing this because they're, you know, it's allowing them to win games through X and Y ways, and then say, how are we going to combat that style of play in order to win ourselves?
Yeah, I mean, what are some examples of that that maybe you've experienced in your competitive history where you're looking at a team, you're seeing a pattern, and you don't upend your strategy, but you shift it slightly?
That's a tough question. I think that EG is oftentimes, you know, very much sticking to a formula for their drafts. And when they step outside that comfort zone, I think that's where they've struggled throughout the group stage. Having 2 initiators, having Universe and Zai both playing heroes that, you know, go blink and have stuns and disables, I think has gone really well for them. And when they don't have that, they've been able to put Universe on like a Mirana or a Furion, which allows the, like that right click DPS damage, and then Sumail will play a Puck or an Earthshaker mid to make up for that lack of control that they lose.
We've seen both of these teams very interested in picking up Lycan regularly. In terms of this draft, obviously only one team can manage to snatch that pick. Is this going to be a sort of critical key pick for one team to grab early?
I think it's higher priority for EG. I think that's a hero that RTZ really, really likes right now, and it's a hero he's always
with it.
He's always been good at it. It's been, you know, one of his best heroes over the years. And when your best heroes are popular in the current meta, that's what
feels good.
Yeah,
feels really nice.
That's how you know you're doing good.
I think a hero that's more priority is Puck, because I think both teams play Puck, and both teams have multiple heroes that play Puck. I think like 4 or 5 of the heroes, or 4 or 5 of the players out of 10 play Puck. You usually don't actually see that. Usually Puck's just straight banned.
Yeah, Puck was banned in the BO3 all 3 games, and I would expect maybe similar things here. I think Nyx will probably see a little bit more priority.
Yeah, I'm really curious because we've been talking about teams and their personalities and heroes that are fitting the specific players, but in terms of just the heroes, Nyx Assassin obviously has been a huge pick and a huge ban throughout here. We haven't even seen him yet today. How does that factor into this sort of matchup? Is it the sort of thing that players you'd expect them to just continue to stick to the same format they've been doing?
I don't think that last BO3 is going to have any impact on this upcoming BO3. I don't think like they were watching those games and learning really anything from it. I think they probably had their plans figured out last night, hopefully, and have come in today.
In theory?
Yeah, in theory, they came in today with a game plan and a strategy that they're going to stick to.
Nyx is also a hero that had been played a lot before, so if it actually goes through from the banning phase, the teams are going to know how to counter it and play with it.
The teams are definitely aware of Nyx's presence. and they will be prepared for it.
I think the mid players are a lot different in this matchup than the last matchup. We saw, what, like Lone Druid last time, and like Alchemist. Nyx isn't like particularly good versus either of these heroes, where I think the pool of mid heroes that we'll see in this game is going to be much different.
Talk to me about those pools. Who are you expecting to see in mid lane?
Puck, if it's not banned, surely.
Yeah.
Maybe a lot more Queen of Pain. I think SCC and Sumail both play a lot of Queen of Pain, even some Storm Spirit. Just these more flashy heroes that take a lot more farm, and the team doesn't revolve around them as much. Like Alchemist is like the hero all 9 heroes in the game are focusing on.
It's a total gravity well. Everything gets bent around the fact that there's an Alchemist in the game.
That's a hero that EG is abysmal against. They just always lose against Alchemist. And I've seen SCC play it. You know, he was one of the Alchemist players. And Newbee's had a good year overall. They've been consistent. I'm a big fan of KPII in the offlane. I know he's got like this great personality, and he's just a real dedicated winner. And Newbee had kind of a disappointing TI last year, at least in terms of what they were expecting of themselves. And KPI decided to stick it out for a whole another year, and here he is again in the winner bracket.
Yeah, how much does just, you know, turmoil throughout the year come into impact when you're here? Is it just like you're totally dialed in and just happy to be part of it? Or is it that big feeling of you have to prove yourself and there's too much pressure?
I think people are really committed to this tournament, and they don't really think about what's after. You think about what's right now, and once you're eliminated, that's when you kind of start figuring out what's happening for next year.
And as we've spoken before, that it doesn't really matter what you've done before. It doesn't matter if you won TI the last year or 2 years ago. You want to win again. If you won TI, you want to be the first one who wins TI twice. If you won majors, you still want to win TI. So
yeah. Now, I just got a brief update. There is going to be a quick repair on one of the headphones, and I just got a second update. It's fixed. Look at that. How's that for efficiency? The game 1 will be starting in about 20 seconds time, and I'm unbelievably excited for this match because Newbee and EG are 2 names in Dota that have stood the test of time. Every single event, they keep showing up again and again, and it's time to see who will come out on top.
Evil Geniuses versus Newbee. Game 1.
I'm so happy we don't have to talk about the possibilities of what's going to happen in the draft. We just get to look at the draft.
It's the best part.
That is the best part.
It's probably my favorite part.
Yeah, it's really great. It's like, you know, it's like watching the new episode of your favorite TV show.
Some people aren't a fan of drafts, but I like it. I get to analyze teams and try and figure out what they're thinking.
Look at this. First pick right out the gate. It's Mirana.
Watch out for that Universe Void coming right around the corner.
These bans are a bit different from the last game, for sure.
Early Sand King. We have Puck Shaker bans from Newbee, and then Nyx Lich from EG. Wisp still in the pool, a hero EG loves, and they also don't really mind playing against too much. They've let it through with the first pick a couple times this tournament.
Mirana, of course, a notable pickup based on exactly what you were saying earlier, that EG likes to pick 2 characters that could be very flexible in terms of where their position is going to be.
Sean, you got to call them heroes, man. You're giving me a panic attack when you call them characters.
So sorry.
Might as well just call them champions at this point.
I've actually never played this game, PPD.
Well, they're heroes.
Newbees turn to ban.
Naga Siren.
Naga Siren, the anti-team fight hero.
Which fits perfectly against the Sand King and Disruptor.
Nice sleep into Arrow. Players
Dire teams turn to ban.
They can definitely land that combination 100% of the time, I'd say.
Has there been very much carry Naga at group stages?
I think Envy
one game.
Yeah, but that's a C9 thing.
Yeah.
No one else thinks that's good.
So Sand King and Disruptor.
10 seconds remaining. Radiant teams turn to ban.
Disruptor, big playmaker.
Do you think Naga Siren is still good even when there's not Faceless Void picked? I think most of the time I saw it was versus Void.
It was, yeah, I've seen it a lot versus Void, and I've seen EG comboed a couple times with Disruptor as well, which was you know, not taken from them, so they can't do that combination.
10
but
seconds
the Sleep
remaining.
Arrow is still pretty strong.
Sleep Black Hole?
Sleep Black Hole.
5 seconds
strong.
remaining.
In the last games, when Sai played it, he usually just waited for the opponent to use some heavy ultimates and then sleep and reset the fight and then arrow and then take the fight.
Definitely.
In terms of the bans, we see Newbee getting rid of Pugna, and if any of you caught day one of group stages, Pugna was an extremely popular and very powerful hero in almost all the games he was played.
Naga and Pugna in combination is actually
Dire
a pretty strong
team ban.
combo. Pugna will allow your team to group up and push towers, and if the enemy team tries to initiate and start the fight while you're chipping away, Naga can save Pugna and just sleep.
Newbee bans Lycan. Big pick for Arteezy, and of course, a very common pick on the Newbee side.
And no Alk.
Yeah, they're worried about the push.
10 seconds
definitely
remaining.
banned. Smart thinking on EG's part.
5 seconds remaining.
They just, whatever that hero is, just their Achilles heel. The hero's fallen in and out of favor by most teams, and they've just always consistently lost to it. So, ban it. It's a good decision.
So of course, looking at the Newbee lineup, Disruptor, I mean, some of the key combinations that we've seen, the Disruptor Earthshaker combo has been very common at this tournament, but not a possibility anymore.
Lots of disable, lots of team fight. It's very hard to split push and run away from a Disruptor. Your best bet is to go into the enemy team, so EG might want to pick up a little bit more team fight to bolster their lineup.
And in terms of that team fight, are you thinking someone like
Dire team's turn to pick.
Venomancer. I really like somebody that can build a BKB from their side. Venomancer.
Venomancer.
Okay.
Awesome. I have no clue how to think of Venomancer in a lineup. Okay, hit me with it.
Well, he can be both support and he can be on the lane. He can be mid and safe lane.
Visage, right? For Arteezy here?
They could. I think Venomancer is usually safe lane now because he can bully out an offlaner very, very easily. So they might go for that.
Summons. Summons have been Venomancer's bane. So Furion, Broodmother, Visage. Those are my favorite three right now. What do you think, Ben?
All sounds pretty good. Think about if Naga Siren is going to just be like a medic this game. I think like a Scepter Pipe. I don't know. I haven't seen the Scepter too much, but I think it could be pretty good versus lineup.
You know, Marlene, we've talked a little bit about, you know, Mirana having a lot of possibilities and how she can be played. How do you think she'll wind up fitting into the EG lineup?
Likely core. I don't know. They don't really have any setup for her right now.
I think so too, that it's a core. And especially now when they pick Kunkka. But, I mean, they could still go Naga, carry, right, Peter?
They could. I would be
your favorite.
I'd be very disappointed.
Probably not. Sai has been playing the Naga before, so.
You don't want to see hour-long games?
I just want to see EG win. You know, I'm a very biased caster up here. Trying to, you know, my best interest.
No problem. Got no shame. Wear it proudly.
All's well. Bleed blue. We got a lot of EG fans here today, I think. I can hear them from out here.
All right.
Impressive stuff in there, guys.
Well, hey, now it's my turn to pander. Any Newbee fans in the audience?
Less.
Good job. Good job.
China shows up for this tournament.
Ooh, Abaddon is mostly against Mirana, I think, to remove the arrow.
Now, was this one of the heroes that had not been yet picked?
I believe so.
Yeah, I believe it was. Oh, no, he had been picked. It was Bane, Spectre, Tiny, and Wraith King. Abaddon, though, one of the most unpicked heroes in all of TI.
Abaddon's one of my favorite heroes. I like seeing him get played.
And it really fits the lineup. They have the Kunkka as well for X-Torrent into Arrow, so they have a lot of Arrow setups. So Abaddon really fits Newbee.
There's the Furion, so that's Universe Furion, Sumail Mirana, probably Zai Naga, Crit Kunkka, last pick Arteezy hero. Getting some summons for that Venomancer that we talked about. I like that a lot.
Could be the Visage then, because they ban on Drow.
Yeah, Drow banned. They could still do the Visage. I'm still a fan.
So in terms of looking at the lineups right now, how would you evaluate Newbee as a team?
Lots of team fight and a pretty decent amount of catch with Sand King and Disruptor.
Fairly weak anti-push, and they need some ramp-up time too.
Yeah, definitely want to get some ultimates. They're a bit weak to BKBs, but EG's cores aren't.
They're not very,
And now the final pick for Evil Geniuses is Timbersaw.
Oh,
looks like a good OD game. I like OD here.
Now
versus Summons, which he's weak versus.
This is what I'm talking about, where I look at this lineup and it just takes me a minute to figure out who the hell is playing who.
I think, well, we'll see what Newbee decides to go mid. That'll definitely decide who takes the Timbersaw. It's going to be Sumail and Arteezy on the Timbersaw and Mirana. And if Newbee picks a melee hero for mid, then I imagine Sumail will take that Timbersaw to the mid lane.
So, Aka, again, I'd want to ask the same question. How do you evaluate Evil Genius's team lineup as a whole? What are their strengths?
I think with the Prophet, they want to take towers early, and I think Timbersaw can work with that as well, because he's very strong earlier with his reactive armor. But they don't have as much push as they've had the other games when I watched them play with the Prophet, so we're going to see how that works out. They usually have, as people say, like Visage or some other hero as well.
Outworld Devourer.
The dream OD game.
I like that OD. Yeah.
It's Sumail's Mirana and Artesian Timbersaw.
There it is. Yep. Ranged hero mid.
Wow, what an interesting lineup for this very first game between EG and Newbee. Casters, take it away.
Thank you very much, Day 9, and indeed, Evil Geniuses versus Newbee here on day 1 of TI7. We couldn't have asked for anything more, could we, Fog? This is going to be incredible.
I'm super excited. I was hoping that we'd get some like EG Newbee type of matchup in these type of upper bracket, because these two teams actually match up super well versus each other. Very similar kind of play styles. We'll see how it plays out coming in.
And the picks as well, as the panel said, something a little different. Arteezy on the Timbersaw, but what seems to be a very strong finisher from Newbee. They seem to love it. Do you like this as well? XCCC getting the OD.
I love the OD pick here. It's super good to disrupt the combos, very good for the pure damage versus Timbersaw as well, and one of his most comfortable heroes. Definitely looking strong for XCCC, which we've been saying on the panel. He is the one to focus on for the Newbee team.
I mean, as Ben was saying, you know, at the start of that section, coming into this, it's hard for teams to have a mid that's going to be able to stand toe-to-toe with Sumail. But XCCC on the OD. Sumail, of course, on the Mirana, as Peter kind of talked about, maybe EG shuffling things around just to try and get the favorable matchups. Is this a lane there where Sumail can still, you know, kind of flaunt himself and get the
Yeah, he should be able to be fine. I'm just assuming they wouldn't have like Zai chilling around the mid area too, so he's going to put the extra pressure around. So I think Sumail will be just fine in that matchup. It's probably slightly OD favored, but Mirana has